Something I see a lot in working with other people is something I think you could lump together as tolerating and managing uncertainty in close relationships. As we get closer to other people, it triggers our attachment anxiety, and this can make people react in really unexpected and unusual ways. And if you understand more about your own patterns and the patterns of other people, it becomes easier to separate yourself from those reactions and also take more time before you react when you are thinking about what you want to do next in your relationships. And this is kind of like the fundamental of cognitive behavioral therapy, where your thoughts impact your emotions, which impact your behavior. So if you become more aware of your thoughts, you can become more in control of your behavior based on your emotional reaction. If you have a thought and every time you have this thought, you're like, I'm so angry, and then because you're so angry, you decide you're going to break up with your partner or quit your job or go out and, cause destruction or whatever, versus if you have a thought and instead of having the thought that turns into the emotion of anger, you turn it into increased awareness, like, wow, this is having a big emotional impact on me, or I bet this is really impacting the other person. And then maybe the emotion you feel towards yourself is like guilt or regret or sadness or loss or grief or acceptance, and you can look at the other person with empathy and yourself with empathy. A question this comes up as is, do they want what I want in some form, whether this is professional or personal, romantic relationships or friendships, differing levels of closeness and uncertainty about where you stand. Do they want what I want? A lack of direction in the relationship, feelings of being unsettled, and maybe you are thinking about what you want, and the way that you feel about the relationship is based on potential, like what you want to happen and what you think can happen in the future. This uncertainty can trigger behavioral responses in different people, like abandoning ship or jumping the gun or wanting to quit or seeking out certainty. And this can sometimes be interpreted by the other person as pressure, putting pressure on the relationship or emotional pressure to validate and reassure the other person, when really they are just trying to increase their feeling of certainty in the relationship. When you're navigating these experiences in close relationships where something feels uncertain and you want to do something about it, you need to think, or you can think about these things. What do I want? What do I want in this relationship? Do I want distance? Do I want clarity? Do I want closeness? Do I want progression, confirmation, comfort, support, reassurance? What do I want? What am I afraid of? Am I afraid they'll think I'm needy, or they will abandon me, or I will feel rejected? They won't be able to give me what I want. I'll feel misunderstood. They'll make me feel bad about my needs. And then, based on those answers, what is one step forward that you can take? Not necessarily with the other person, but in changing the way that you feel. If your identification is, I want to feel closer in a relationship, what's one thing that you can do to help yourself feel closer in a relationship? Is that reaching out? Is that sending somebody something? Is that calling someone on the phone? Is that thinking about the next open time in your calendar that you can hang out with somebody? Is that thinking you need to go write in your journal and think about what you want to say, or like you want to watch a TV show that reminds you of something you watch with a friend? What are you looking for? What thing will be comforting or supportive to you, so that you can use those emotions that come up and consciously react and support yourself instead of reacting emotionally based off of your negative thinking, potentially. I think there's three layers when we're talking about this. There is an emotional layer, a layer of meaning, and a need layer. So if we're talking about emotional layer, let's think about what comes up when somebody brings up uncertainty. I feel lost, I feel directionless, I feel confused, I feel fragile or exposed, vulnerable. I feel like I want to be open, I want to be close. And when you are feeling those things, what kind of emotions, what kind of meaning is made based off of those emotions? If you want to be closer to somebody, are you dependent? Are you overly sensitive? Are you not independent? Are you overly dependent on other people? Are you weak? How does it make you feel when you want to depend on somebody or want to ask for help or give something to somebody? Does it make you feel exposed or vulnerable or unsafe or threatened? When you're feeling those ways, when you're feeling threatened, what behavioral impulses are coming up? Do you want to break off the relationship? Do you want to get closer? Do you want to hurt the other person? Do you want to break the trust or see if the trust is still there? And once you are able to process through those negative thinking and allow yourself to feel the feeling that comes up from the thoughts, even if they're negative thoughts, you can have the negative emotions, but control the behavioral impulse. And then we can think about, what would it do to get closer to somebody or feel closer to somebody? Do you need to take a risk or be brave? Do you need to hold back or be restrained? Do you need to do something different in your communication? Do you need to acknowledge something in the dynamic? And you can make a choice to do something brave, supportive, connecting, risky, emotional, dependent, based off of your goals in the dynamic. And based off of your needs as well. If you need reassurance or want to know where you stand with somebody or want to establish trust, maybe you are seeking something that feels like validation or support or confirmation. That doesn't just come from relationships. How else can we get support? How else can we get validation? TV, music, our own community, celebrities, our family members, people who have come before us, our religion, our hobbies, our jobs. Where else can we find meaning to support our social needs? Because that is what we're talking about, is a human social needs. Maybe you want to feel validated in your ideas or yourself or your existence. You want to feel like other people care about you. You want to feel visible, like people can hear you and support you and understand what you need and attune to you and be there for you. Maybe you need support. And maybe there are blocks that come up with asking for it or receiving it or allowing someone to be there for you or feeling like you deserve it. But the need is still there, of like needing support from another person. So how do you get that? These are the guided actions that you can lead with. If you are looking to make a different choice to address these feelings of uncertainty, communicate with others what you are seeking but what you don't have. Tell your friends, this is my goal, this is my long-term plan. I'm trying to accomplish this. I'm not quite there yet, but this is where I'm going. I want to have this type of dynamic. I want to feel this way about myself. I want to feel this amount of progression in my hobby. And being vulnerable to talk about not just like the things that you feel good about or successful or that are in motion, but also the things that are still like coming to fruition and you don't feel very confident about. Being able to talk about those things and feeling supported instead of shamed or rejected will change how you feel about things during the process. You can also wait until you feel more clear, and so the action becomes more decided and less avoidable and more just like on the path moving forward. You don't have to make a choice right away, and that's part of impulse control with strong emotions, is knowing when to wait and regulate yourself, calm down, do self-care, take care of your needs, and then once you feel more clear, maybe you'll have a better way to verbally communicate, or socially you'll know what to do, or you'll better be able to understand what sort of thing that you need to feel better about the situation. You can reflect on times in the past where you've taken a leap and remember what it felt like to land. If you can think back to other periods of time in your life where you felt emotionally similar, you can think through that whole experience. Like, how did that end up turning out? How did I feel? How intense did that get? Where was the peak? When did it start to come down? What happened? What changed? What was the pattern? How long did it last? How did I feel? Was there variation in how I was feeling during that time? And how did it end? That might provide you with context for helping yourself through the way that you feel now and acknowledging that you can tolerate uncertainty because you have done it in the past and have made it out on the other side. You can also set boundaries around your tolerance for uncertainty, and a lot of times when people think about boundaries, they think about what they can say to another person, but boundaries internally are also what you will and will not do, what you allow yourself to do, where you allow your mind to go, or your actions. And if there are actions where you say, like, I don't want to do this anymore, I don't want to check their Instagram, I don't want to text them, I don't want to call them compulsively, it's part of your accountability to be able to hold yourself to the internal standard of, if I say I don't want to do that, and I say I'm not going to do that, I need to be there for myself and show behaviorally like I'm not going to do that. And I can replace that with something that feels nourishing to me and doesn't make me feel more ashamed of what I'm doing because I feel like I'm going against myself. And you can let go of past memories of these feelings. You don't need to hold on to feeling disappointed or rejected. You don't need to think that they're preparing you for how you feel now. You can just go forward in the present moment, acting from your needs and your wants and your desires in a regulated and calm way to meet your social needs and then be able to be there for other people as well. That is what community is to me.